Hi, I'm doing this video just to show a little bit how I'm using the GIMP image manipulation program. GIMP, it's a photo editor. This is how I make my 8x10s. So just once you have your pictures that you find, you simply import them or drag them into GIMP, and now you're ready to do some editing. So what I try to do for 8x10s is get the dimensions right. So in this particular case, if you go under image, first I need to scale the image to the closest possible value. So for 8x10s, I try to go a minimum of 1000 width and 1250 height. So you will see that if I set the width at 1000, the height isn't exactly where it needs to be. So what I really need to do is set it at 1250 height. And then once that's done, now it's still scaled. However, it's not an 8x10. So in order to make that 8x10, I go to canvas size and I set the width to 1000. Now you'll see this will crop the image. I can center it so it will crop equally on both sides, or I can move the image so it pretty much gives the best possible area for a signature. What I try to do, you see now this is the 8x10 view that's resulting. What I try to do most of the time is pick an image that has a lot of light colors, so a dark pen would have a good contrast. This particular image has a lot of black in it, so although when I do the auto color correction, I select levels and then autocorrect, and you'll see that created a better contrast, if you would. However, if I do have dark colors and I send particularly via venue, where it is highly likely that the only thing they'll have available to them might be just a black Sharpie, what I like to do is also increase the brightness. So by increasing the brightness, and you can see what that does to the picture if you go all the way up, that pretty much means your darks and your blacks are not as contrasting, and even if they sign with a dark color Sharpie, it will still pop out. Depending on what the picture is, I'd like to go maybe not too bad. I don't want to lose the quality of the picture that much, so I might try for something like this. And that's all you have. And then I just overwrite as a JPEG, pick the quality. So now you can see it updated the picture to pretty much be already 8x10, ready to upload and use and send to the printer. So another thing you can do, sometimes you'll get this. You can either convert or keep. I don't think it really matters. In this case, it might be a little tougher to crop. And let's say you want to add borders. So the way you would do this is you would scale the image. Let's say in this case, you need to go 2000 height, which means you need 1600 width. So you'll just scale to keep the image at the same scale, and then you go to canvas size and you say 1600. So this, as you can see, will shift the picture, we'll center it, we'll resize it. Now you see this alpha background. What that will do when I save it, it will put the background color here. So for example, let's also correct the color, and that darkened it, as you can see. I will also increase the brightness a little bit, just in case the signer wants to sign on the sweater. And now I'll just overwrite, and what you'll see now, some difference there. And now that I overwrote, you can see now the resulting 8 by 10 has the borders. Some of the dealers, they do produce this because it's the fastest way to not alter the picture in any way or crop it or anything, and you get the full image. I personally am not a big fan of having these borders. I'd rather crop the image. Sometimes what I'll do, and this is something that you may want to do, is I can even, for something like this that's all red in the background, I can create another pasted layer, as you can see. And now I can move this over. Move the move tool. So now you can see it fills it up. And I can do the same on the other side. If I'm not sure if it's going to fit, I can just go here and stretch it. And I can do the same thing on the other side. That will create a new layer. I need to put this to a new layer. Then take that and move it. Stretch it. And overwrite it. So now, as you can tell, the whites are gone. Now, even though the whites are gone, you can see there are changes where you can see that this actually is a copy. So in this case, what I'd like to do, I just go to New from Visible. So now you see the whole thing. And I go to the Smudge tool. And with the Smudge tool, you have the option of blending, as you can see, the similar colors to the point that it kind of looks continuous to all these points that seemed out of place. So now I can save again, overwrite. So now you can see the resulting one. You can barely tell that it doesn't make that much of a difference. Alright, what else? Let's show one more example. So this is another one where, for example, you have a portrait picture, but you want to make a landscape, and you just want to create, essentially just use this as your subject. So when you do that, you just go in and say crop the selection. That will chop the picture. Now you can work with this. You can scale the image. So let's say this one you want to do 1200 by 1500. So maybe we'll do 1500. And then canvas size 1200. So now you have a landscape photo out of it. Color correct. So this is a pretty bright picture, so I wouldn't be changing the brightness here. And now you overwrite it. So now you have another 8 by 10 ready to go on that one. And the last thing I'm going to show is in cases where the image is pretty close to an 8 by 10, like in this case, you need a 1280 by 1600 to make an 8 by 10. You might choose to just not preserve the scaling, so that way you don't chop anything off, you don't crop anything, and you just put the exact thing. When it's pretty close, as you can see here, it scaled it, narrowed it a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, it didn't really change the subject. It still has the same view. So oops, before I do the brightness, let me do the color correction. So you can see this darkened it quite a bit. So I would probably need to go here and increase the brightness. So if there's a dark color marker, it would still pop out. So there you have it. Here's 4 8x10s that were created. They're now going to be sent to the printer. And next thing, off to the signers and wish me luck.